Hello, friends. We are here. We are back. I don't know what day it is because this is pre-recorded, but we're back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the further tales of the intrepid crew, the Berezaya Argia. When last we left, back in our last session, which I believe is also
In
to
January.
be recorded. Yeah, it was recorded in January, but we had some tech goblin issues because fucking tech goblins.
Check out.
But where we last left off, our crew, through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, had defeated their arch nemesis, sort of, Dracoskull, and had kind of broken the siege with the death of Dracoskull on New Throne. In addition to that, you had headed back to I'm tripping up on the name now. It's a Hakatorvac, I believe, is the
Mm-hmm. Did you drop her body in New Throne?
pretty much right in the center of town. Yeah,
I forgot about that.
which was a pretty. It was a pretty big visual reference to stop the siege and to make Dracoskull's minions rethink their life choices. Quite a bit. But you did head out to Hakatorvac to gather the Horde, where you discovered that Coglin, the ancient gold dragon disguised as a gnome, was already sort of setting up shop, but had kind of gotten the dragon's horde sort of stacked and packed, so to speak, and ready for your arrival. And then proceeded to apologize a bit as the Dakani prophecies that mentioned your fight against Dracoskull were a bit, as you found out, they were a
bullshit.
Absolute bullshit. Yes, it was a centuries, eons long ploy to ultimately stop Dracoskull from doing so. As there were dangerous repercussions for draconic kind should a draconic emperor begin to try to take over Corvair. Funny how that can sometimes be a thing. So, did happen to sort of apologize as far as that goes. But was glad that ultimately you were able to succeed. Your ship was then stuffed full of frickin' treasure because 3 very old dragons, the hordes of each. There you go. So there's not really what you'd call space in the cargo hold. But that being said, after some sort of tense discussions of what is to be sort of expected in the relationship with Coglin moving forward, you returned to New Throne to help with rejoining New Throne basically, and helping with all of that. And there, of course, is also a huge celebration. Ember and her flaming rabbits are rocking out, and it's kind of at that point that we are sort of currently at with Zaya kind of floating over New Throne. And there are still like fires and stuff to be put out, and there's still guards and whatnot, and there's some mop up, but for the most part, Dracoskull's forces have definitely fled, At this point, it's just kind of mop up and clean up at this point, as far as the warriors that are doing any of that, which it sounded like some of you were helping with as well when it came to that point. So it gets to sort of an exhausted evening, because the battle with Drakaskull happened fairly early in the morning. In fact, it feels like you haven't slept for days, even though you know you did actually sleep, a troubled sleep, but a sleep last night. And so the majority of the day is kind of doing kind of cleanup and re-securing things and making sure the town is secure. And by the time it hits evening, everybody is pretty much out to celebrate. And as they're all basically sort of have gone through all this emotional turmoil, physical turmoil, and now are able to actually take a breath. You are all very much invited to join in several endeavors. In fact, it's kind of, I imagine, fairly Mardi Gras-esque, in which there's party to party to party to party to party to party, with a party on the streets in between. It's kind of a sort of a jumbled chaos in that sense. And so we'll start with the Maya. So Maya, what are you doing in terms of kind of celebrating all this or whatnot?
Maya is probably sticking pretty close with Zaya. I imagine that Zaya is probably in her humanoid form and kind of partaking in some of the festivities as well. So she's just kind of chaperoning around with her, talking with people, dancing with her a little bit, just kind of having a good time and making sure that she celebrates responsibly.
Okay. That is fair. That is fair. Okay, so you're showing her around the town a little bit and letting her enjoy the festivities.
Yep, she's being the literal and figurative shit mom.
Yeah. Okay. And you do that, and it's a wonderful time. There are many people that are more than a bit curious and fascinated just with the fact that you're walking around with effectively a dryad, which...
Yeah.
Not many people really see people walking around with effectively a tree person before that, so it's a... It draws some attention, but everybody's friendly. I mean, at this point, there's those that are partaking of the party, definitely appreciative of everything that you guys have done.
Sure. Maya's probably also kind of keeping a close watch and making sure that nobody lets their curiosity get the better of them.
Sure.
And give Zaya her space.
And you probably slap there's probably a stray hand here or there that you have to slap. I mean, it is a little bit of a frontier-y town, but for the most part, after the first person that you put in like a wrist lock and have them drop to their knees crying uncle, they all kind of get the idea that,
Mm-hmm.
Those that have a more lustful intent give you a wide berth.
And not necessarily just lustful intent, but the people who are just like, oh my god, tree person, like, scientific or, that kind of curiosity and that stuff as well. Like, hey, she's a person of her space, treat her with dignity.
Pretty, I want to touch.
Right. That kind of stuff too.
And you're able to handle those incidents. And truthfully, even Zaya is able to handle those incidences without too much issue.
Sure. But Amaya's still kind of trying to enjoy herself too, and having a drink here and there, dancing with people and all that as well.
Okay. Ember is off with the flaming rabbits, and they are, especially kind of in some of the, probably one of the larger gathering areas like the town square, they are putting on a hell of a performance. And pretty much rocking out like Ember does.
Sounds about right.
Barco, what are you doing?
All right. Thank you going first for Maya, because I got to think about it. So Barca, number one, he's going to be drinking and partying pretty heavily. Coming from the gladiator culture he is from, Barca has now found his mother and know that she's good, slayed some dragons, is a free bugbear with more money than he could ever deal with. So Barca, entering a new phase of life, is probably looking for love, would be my guess. But to do that, Barca refers to gladiator kind of life. So he's looking to party, but also look for gentlemanly sports activities that may include feats of whether it's brawling or arm wrestling, trying to look probably overly masculine, as that's what he's used to from his past.
Sure. So we'll say on the slightly more violent end of the spectrum, like wrestling, there's not as much of that going around, just because everybody's kind of recuperating a little bit. But I would definitely say like arm wrestling, maybe even some like caber toss kind of stuff. Like there's definitely some. And then there's actually one, although there is at one point a group that you see is kind of set off to one side, where you see there's sitting kind of on this sort of throne of you're guessing empty kegs. You see this huge burly sort of minotaur who definitely has some battle scars and whatever, but is just sitting there with this huge for a minotaur stein. So it's probably like, easily 2 feet tall and probably like a good 8 inches circumference kind of thing, or 8-inch diameter, and is kind of sitting there. And you see there's this small halfling that's kind of asking, his like, boss goes, who dares come like challenge our friend? And you see this like couple of these drunken guys kind of go up, and one guy's like, this human guy's like hands over a coin, is like, I dare. It's like, all right, so here's the rules. And so you see they kind of stand off with each other, and they just kind of like, and you see the minotaur and the guy kind of puts their foreheads together, and then they boom and headbutt.
Yeah, that seems about right.
And you see the guy just, and typically the humans pretty much, like for the Minotaur, it's like nothing. Minotaur just kind of nods and sits back down and continues having a bit of a drink. But you see whoever kind of keeps going up against the Minotaur is just like, they just crumple. Like, I mean, it's a freaking, yeah. So, but the thing is there are people that will be like, we're gonna get Bob. Like, we're gonna bring Bob. Oh, Bob, you can do this, man. You're so drunk you won't feel a thing. Like, you can do it, Bob. You got it. Here's this gold. You go for it. Bam! Oh! You know, like there's definitely plenty of people setting up other people, and there are a few who don't go down with the hit. Like the Dragonborn, the Silver Dragonborn guy, Dimitri, that you had seen. You see at one point he and the Minotaur go head to head, and they both kind of like Dimitri still kind of staggers a little bit, but doesn't go down necessarily. And then they just kind of they kind of shake hands, and everyone's cheering, you know. And then he kind of heads off to go. A little stumbly, but otherwise doing okay. But yeah, it's.
I imagine Barca would probably partake in this sort of challenge. I also imagine Barca is definitely walking around drinking and glad handing and Barca kill dragon, you know, and whenever another member of the party is nearby, Riri kill dragon too, you know, and kind of just everybody's cheering, and then he sees this. And he probably walks up, because I imagine I'm thinking about this in the Scottish style games, like you talk about the caber toss and different things with just big stone lifting and stuff. And Barca will head right to the guy who's offering challenge and just say, Barca, accept challenge. And I imagine people behind Barca are oh,
and they're
shit's about to go down.
And actually, when you say that, normally all the sort of cheering and jibing and whatever, all of a sudden kind of goes to a little bit of a hush as everyone's oh, because, you know, I mean, at this point, there's no one in the town that doesn't know who you all are. Just face that is a thing. So, yeah. And then of course, Barca proceeding to tell everybody that wherever he goes doesn't hurt either. But but there's not a so when this happens, all of a sudden everyone hushes oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And so you see the Minotaur just kind of finishes their drink, sets down their gigantic stein, and kind of stands up.
So Barca have question real quick. Just want to get it out in the air. If Barca take hit and stand, can Barca return hit to see if you stand afterwards?
Well, we're both hitting at the same time.
Noted. Barca now understands game. And Barca takes
you realize
out.
That's why they put their heads together, and then so they're kind of both going at the same time.
Are you?
The Minotaur's head is substantially larger than some of the guys they've been going up against, because you know.
Are you interested in bugbear rules?
And what are bugbear rules?
Well, bugbear rules are we go until someone lands on the ground. So, for example, it's still turn-based. So we connect, and if both stand, no one wins yet. Must go again. And I take out 10,000 gold, and I set it down on the table in front of him.
Now, do you have a bag of holding?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because 10,000 gold is a lot of coin.
We'll say 1,000 gold. Sorry, we just recently got a huge sum, so that number doesn't really.
I know,
but that probably actually, you know what? This tracks. Barco does not understand what's a lot or not.
Here's the reason why I'm saying that. In times past, we haven't had to worry about it as much because the sums haven't been as audacious as they are. But
I mean, didn't we give 8,000 to the town to help rebuild?
Yes, but
here's a wager of more than we just gave you to rebuild.
What I'm saying is your bag of holding can only hold so much.
Oh, yeah, that I see what you're saying.
Like, we haven't really worried about it right now, but like the whole hoard is not fitting in the bag of holding. How many pounds does a bag of holding hold? It's like what, 500 pounds? Yeah, that's not going to fit your share.
Noted. We'll
like
say
50, it's like 50 coins is a pound.
50 coins is a pound.
Coins.
Yep.
So
no, I'm feeling you.
No,
So,
I'm not saying you can't have a bunch of money in the bag because that totally makes sense. But I'm just saying, just keep that in mind. I realize it's a hard thing to come across because, let's face it, in the real world, none of us are rich, which is why we play D&D.
Well, I'll say this. He grabs probably, we'll call it 500 gold that fits in my bag of holding.
Sure.
Call it that. That's a much more manageable sum. Although I do argue that, but it would totally be Barca, just a 10,000 gold. It's like $5 to him now.
which is fair.
So Barca sets down 500 gold instead of the crazy amount that the 10,000.
And you see the Minotaur looks at that and looks back and goes, I don't have coin to match it.
What does he have on him that I'm just curious. Does he have any like a weapon, or does he have like any jewelry on, or
does he have a cool hat?
Yeah, that could. Is it a fun pin,
So we're gonna say the Minotaur is going in kind of what you stereotypical fantasy setting would be, is kind of like a loincloth with otherwise fairly bare-chested. You do see there this particular Minotaur. He is wearing he's got a couple of necklaces that look like they're maybe a little bit more of a tribal decoration than necessarily like jewelry, gold, or whatever. But you do see there are some maybe a couple of gold beads or semi-precious stones that were turned into actual like beads that are on it as well as some teeth and whatnot. Nothing as huge as fucking dragon, but there you go. You do notice though that there is that the Minotaur has a looks like a great sword.
Okay.
That is kind of it's currently sheathed. It looks like it's set up to do kind of like a baldric over the shoulder kind of thing. That is kind of leaning against the throne, the side of the throne. Because even with combat being sort of over and the party happening, it's still kind of a frontier area, so everyone's still armed. In general.
Okay. Barca, if you don't have coin, Barca has other idea. Either option A or option 3. So option A would be putting up that sword back there. Option 3 would be to owe Barca a wish, no questions asked. A favor. Not wish, sorry, Barca, get those two confused. A favor. Don't need favor right now, but maybe in future Barca might need muscle to help. Barca never needs muscle, but like if Barca would maybe need muscle, you would have to lend hand. You choose.
then I will owe you a favor. Should I lose. But should I win, I get the bag of gold.
Yep.
And we go till one of us drops.
Correct. Or one of us taps out. I don't know how good your stomach is.
And it looks over, it's like, looks over at everybody so they can all kind of hear the terms, and you see the little halfling Barker guy's like, the terms have been made.
We got a hype man for this event. This is amazing.
Oh yeah, because there's been a little halfling kind of Barker there the whole time, egging people on to see if they can take on the Minotaur. So it's like, very well, and reaches out his hand. I agree to the terms.
Perfect. Barca spits it in his hands and reaches out and shakes it.
And he shakes it, but he kind of holds. He like he shakes the hand, and then it's sort of. I'm not quite letting go, and I'm not. Then it's that sort of
that adolescent game Barca will play right back. Like just start squeezing slowly harder, trying to out-squeeze each other.
So then I would like you to make a. We're going to start with a strength roll.
Strength roll. All right. It's not bad. 17.
Okay. So, you're both kind of sitting there doing that very, I keep thinking of that one scene from Predator where they're like, sitting there tense, fucking Arnie and everybody tense it, but as you're kind of sitting there and everyone's like, oh, it's like, and as you kind of lean, and so as you're both kind of like, there's definitely a little bit of struggle as you're both kind of straining against each other, but then you see he starts to lean in. It's like, are you ready?
Let's fucking do it.
All right. So, it's not a matter of whether or not you hit. You do. I would like you to roll. What is your, I guess, what would be your what would be your we'll say your average unarmed damage, or I shouldn't even say average, because unless you have do you have like brawler, tavern brawler, or anything that increases?
God, at this moment I wish I did. Unarmed strike. As I say, 1 plus strength modifier, so 5.
5. So here's what I would like you to do. For the Minotaur is going to be. We're going to say also is actually going to be average would be about a 6. So what I would like you to do is you're going to make a con save. DC for you is going to be 16. DC for the other guy is going to be 15. So basically 10 plus the damage that you kind of do to each other.
Okay.
So go ahead and make a con save.
13.
Okay. So you do stagger a bit as it feels like you're headbutting Dragonbone, basically. Like like you did not like. You're like, okay, he's a Minotaur, whatever. Like, I'm big, I'm part bug, part bear, but he cracks, and there is an audible crack, and you hear the whole audience like, oh, like, and you do stagger a little bit. You're still up, you're still standing, but definitely, you definitely wasn't expecting just the hardness of the hit on that. And you see the Minotaur just kind of doesn't necessarily stagger, but just kind of does a little bit of a, like, unlike everybody else that has been basically like, boom, whatever, and then goes to sit down. Like, this definitely has an appreciable effect where you see the Minotaur blinks a little bit, and so you both kind of recover a little bit, and everybody's just cheering. It's just kind of chaos. And then, I don't know if you want to take a drink or whatever. The Minotaur does take a sip.
Bark is going to go into, like, he was a gladiator, so he starts to get a little showman-y, you know? So he's going to basically turn around and be like, are you entertained? You know, but just like in Barca's format, he's going to go and grab a beer and down it and like shake it off. And I'm sure he's kind of like wobble steps a little bit because he's been drinking too. So now he's probably got a concussion. So he downs it and then gets right back into mode.
Okay. So we're basically going to bump the DCs by 1 and kind of do the same thing again, because you're not gonna not hit each other.
right, yeah.
Unless one of you wants to chicken out, which will be a whole other thing, but like, you're gonna hit each other. It's not really an issue of that. So go ahead and make another con save.
24.
Okay. And he got a 20. So you both, this second time, crunk, and now you get the sense that both of you are, you've been able to kind of judge each other's characters a little bit more, and everyone, you know, and of course the crowd's like, oh, but you both, like, this time, neither one of you staggers. You both just kind of take a moment and blink a little bit, and see the Minotaur just kind of nods, like, is like, has a beer, and everyone starts cheering.
Yep. That sounds about right. Barca will be doing the same thing, same posturing the crowd, high-fiving Riri as he runs by, stumbling around, ignoring Amaya's probably rolled over eyes.
I will say this much. For the rest of you, at this point, for the rest of you that are starting to entertain the various things that you're entertaining, and we will get to, of course, the individual bits, but for those of the rest of you, you now see that a crowd of people has formed around this area. As you hear, you don't even see it at first, but you just hear this clicking sound of like someone taking 2 large boards and clapping them together, like with this audible click, and you're like, what the hell? And then you see it is Barca and a frickin' Minotaur that are headbutting each other with a crowd of people watching.
And I take it there's gambling going on in the background, right?
The Barker is going nuts, giving odds, doing things like, yeah, it's chaos, and you see people are betting all over the place. Like, yes, there's all sorts of stuff going on around you. I mean, it's just a cacophony of people like cheering you on, cheering the Minotaur on, ribbing the Minotaur, and then ducking into the crowd so as not to be seen by either of you to know who had yelled at you. But like, all of that stuff. But yeah, it is chaos. But then, of course, as you guys get ready for your next, like the next step up, it quiets down, and there's this just as everyone's just waiting expectantly. So for the rest of you, what do y'all do?
Well, as Barca comes by and high fives Riri, Rhiannon's just gonna like smack him on the back as he goes by and just shout at him, Barca, rage. And is just cheering for him.
You hear back, Barca too happy to rage.
Amaya's actually probably not rolling her eyes at this. She's probably looking a little bit thoughtfully at it, going, I probably could have done this and bet a whole lot more, because while she doesn't have the constitution and hit points, she absolutely has more hitting power.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with all your training and like focusing the key for like that strike. Yes, it would be a different game entirely. So that very true. And
So
funny
I
enough,
was kind of thinking, like, man, if I was a little bit more bold, I could have really taken these guys for the cleaners.
well, and funny enough, you hear in your head, you could have taken them, Mom. So Barca, I believe we are now at the next stage.
Okay.
So now it's going to be a +2 because obviously, as you guys are with the combination of drinking and the concussions that are no doubt being had, it definitely is going to make it a little bit more difficult. But when you're ready,
All right.
Go and make your con roll.
21.
Con save. Oh no, he did not roll good at all. All right. So with the third hit, and everyone's like, and like you're both kind of holding hands, like put your heads together, you're gripping hard, you're both like in this. You both peel back and boom! And there's this collective as you kind of like are leaning forward, and you kind of let go with your hand as you see the Minotaur like off his feet, because I rolled really shitty, and just like almost like you clotheslined him, just kind of like feet or hooves come out from underneath and just goes flat to the ground, dust everywhere, and all of a sudden it's freaking roaring, everybody's cheering, it's just freaking chaos. You hear some people cursing and throwing other people money because they bet on the Minotaur, but you just and others that are cheering because they bet on you, and it is just freaking chaos.
Barca definitely postures that after he sees straight, but he's used to like posturing the crowd when he's not necessarily 100%. So he definitely has both arms up. He walks up, he kisses some random girl, is just like, a girl who would be definitely into that. And,
Sure.
And yeah, is definitely cheering it. He will definitely go back to the Minotaur and like take one of his potions of healing out and dump it in his mouth and just kind of like, and get down and slap his cheek, slap. Remember, you owe Bark a favor. And just go back and grab his bag of gold, down a beer, and then exits into the crowd.
Okay. So that happens. Rhiannon.
Yes.
And or depending on we'll say shortly after this, for Rhiannon, what are you doing?
Well, so my mom and Karth and Meredith appeared right after we killed the dragon.
Yes.
So they are here.
They are.
Rhiannon hasn't seen her mom in 5 years, so like she's gonna like celebrate a little bit, but honestly, like her focus is gonna be on her parents, particularly on Lyria, and just if Lyria wants to go celebrate, we'll go celebrate, but like she's not going to be very easily separated from her mom right now.
That's fair. And
like the last 4 months have been her trying to get to her mom. So,
and we'll say they did. They are down in the town with you all, because being that Karth is a well known in the community. You know, there's many people that want to, you know, congratulate and be like, your daughter's amazing or whatever, you know, like, but they do kind of, you get the sense that the three of them kind of purposefully go a little bit more on the periphery, and so they're kind of at a, like maybe at one of the pubs that quite frankly probably filtered out when they heard that then Barca was going up against whatnot, and people are kind of filtering back in as the party kind of goes around, but you see they're definitely kind of, I wouldn't say being antisocial, but kind of being in their own little group. But as you kind of come back into the bar after seeing Barca devastate the Minotaur, you see your mother actually kind of comes up from the booth where they're at, we'll say, and kind of, you know, and just gives you a big hug.
Yeah, I give her a big hug back. I would have invited Gavin to come along with me if he wishes to. If not, that's totally fine too. But yeah, I just give her a big hug, and I'll spend probably the evening just hanging out with them and drinking and having a little bit of a quieter celebration rather than, you know, headbutting a Minotaur.
Sure. And that's fair. That's fair. You know, it's still been a little bit of a whirlwind. They're kind of, you know, the most immediate thing being is that, you know, between Meredith and Karth and whatnot, and what resources they had back in Stormreach, they're able to get your mom healed up where she is, like no longer having exhaustion or anything like that. But just in a general sense, your mother is kind of running on adrenaline and will at some point crash, because that's a thing, but it's hasn't quite hit her yet.
Yeah. I think one of the first times that she gets to hug her mom, she would have just, like, I knew you weren't dead. I knew it. I'm sorry it took me so long.
And you just see she's like, she kind of, you know, puts her hands basically, you know, after the hug and hears that, and kind of, you know, as you pull back a little bit, she puts her hands on your cheeks like, sweetie, I don't even know where to begin. I'm so proud of you. And she just, she tears up a bit and starts just hugging you, and admittedly, there's a long moment there where you two are just kind of holding each other before she then, you know, it gets to that moment where you're like, okay, all right, let's go get a drink, kind of, you know, and then kind of leads you back to the booth and whatnot.
If Gavin came with Rhiannon, like, obviously she'll introduce her mom to Gavin. And
is Gavin there with Rhiannon? Oh, didn't. Yeah.
I think Gavin would have stuck around to meet Lyria, but I think he would eventually just head back to Zaya.
Okay.
Not really participate in any of the celebration or anything. Just go back to Zaya and just kind of keep watch.
Okay.
That's it.
Fair enough.
And I don't know if we ever really said, but I imagined, at least in my head, that Zaya's airship form would be just kind of like hovering over the city. It's kind of like a big visual. Hey, we saved the day.
Yeah. So the ship itself is just kind of floating, you know, maybe like 50 or 60 feet above the city.
Yeah, like high enough to be low enough to be like super prominent and cool, but like no danger of anybody even trying to think about getting up there.
Well, and none of the buildings are like the temple is probably the tallest building, and it's maybe like 2.5, 3 stories ish. But most of the buildings are a single story or at most a 2-story structure. The town is not. It's not like Sharn, but or even a lot of the other more metropolized cities, for lack of a better term. Metropolized, yeah, that's a word. We'll make that word. But
Say he goes and relieves. I'm guessing Kaladin, who was on watch. So yeah, he just goes and relieves Kaladin and tells him to go have a good time.
Oh no, Kaladin's. Actually, the
or Nikali or whoever was behind, because we wouldn't have left the ship unattended.
Yeah, no,
Liddy.
Kaladin is already out whipping it up.
So yeah, then probably Nikali.
Nikali probably just because the huge crowds is kind of a little tends to get a little nervous around larger groups. But and you see Nikali and Liddy are just kind of sitting there on the deck and just kind of watching, chit-chatting.
Okay, I just go join them.
Okay. Narashti.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think she would have come down for the start of the party and stuff. I'm thinking the Barca thing that wasn't like super late into the night or anything.
No, it was probably like maybe an hour or so into the festivities.
So Narashti would have definitely gotten caught up in that. That would have been exciting. But then after that, she would have scooped up some food and drink and come back to the ship and go check on Anya.
Okay.
So, a little bit of party, but then going back up there, knocking on the door.
You knock on the door.
Hello? Can I come in? I brought food and drink. I'm not sure what this is, but people seem to really like it.
Probably like a roasted maybe like a roasted chicken with some sort of like a papaya salsa something or another sort of thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you knock on the door and say
they said it was chicken, but it's 100% parrot.
Oh.
Yeah, they'd already pretty much sacked the chickens a week into the siege, but you do not hear a response.
Anya? She's gonna knock again and then maybe open the door.
You open the door. You open the door and you see that the room is empty. The bed is made, and looks like whatever personal effects. And granted, she didn't necessarily have a ton of them, but what personal effects she had are kind of gone. And you see sitting on the bed is a folded piece of paper.
I'm gonna set down the food and read the paper.
My dearest Narashti.
Aww. Narashti starts crying right away at that point. It's like, what's wrong? It's too much emotion. Been too much.
The past couple of days have been a whirlwind of danger And while you and your crew have gotten us through these challenging times, I've come to realize the danger I present. Like I know that you're using all your resources to help, but I feel like there's this clawing in the back of my skull. Like it's just sitting there, and I know that the longer I'm with you all, the more I'm putting you all at risk. I asked Telemon to see what he could do to I guess protect me for at least long enough for me to get to get away from you, so I can't lead them to you. Well, that past couple of weeks have been a bit of a whirlwind. I wasn't expecting to meet someone like you. I wasn't expecting to care for someone that way. And that's, I mean, I know your path is going to be fraught with danger, but I couldn't bear the fact if I were the one to bring it upon you. So I've asked Telemon to give me what protections he can, which should last me for a few days, hopefully. And I've asked one of the fishermen. I grabbed some of the money from the hoard. I hope no one. I apologize for taking it, but I hope you'll understand. And paid for passage to bring me down to Adderport, where I can get a ship and put enough distance away that I won't be endangering you. Sorry for doing this.
Can you check the toaster?
Yeah, I already did.
And I hope you can forgive me, but with everything that's happened, I just feel I'm too big of a risk. And then Anya.
She's just going to sit and stare at it, the paper, and read it again, and just kind of just in lost for words. But then after a few minutes, she's suddenly like standing up and like, where is Telemon? and she's gonna
he
go.
and Solana are actually probably also down with the festivities, although much like Amaya is the sort of the head mother a little bit with Zaya, Telamon is very much that way with Solana as well.
So kind of
Admittedly, they both have the look of a tin horn in the Western frontier, where it's like, most people are wearing furs and they're wearing nice trimmed robes, and it's like they're like, city slickers. All right.
Well, when she realizes they're not on the boat or on Zaya, the ship, boat, whatever, on Zaya, she'll go down and just try to find him and see if he has to figure out timeline, like when and what, and she's carrying the letter just like in her. It's probably a little crumpled and a little bit tear stained.
Well, and admittedly, even before your tears fell upon it, you did see there were a few spots where there were some sort of blotted ink stains where you're guessing Anya had also maybe shed a few tears. But go ahead and make a perception roll.
Yeah. $25.
You find him.
Yay! Very determined here.
You find him very easily. You see he is kind of standing off to the side and holding a glass of wine, which is interesting because most of the beverage around here is like ale or rum. Like, it ain't wine. Like, you don't know where he got the wine from. You don't like whether it's something he had with him, but
I imagine it's like in like a nice glass too.
And in like a nice like actual like wine glass, or maybe even a crystal wine glass. And he's just kind of sitting there, taking little sips here and there, but just kind of standing there watching as he's watching over. You see Solana is actually kind of they're kind of on the edge of where the flaming rabbits are playing, and Solana's kind of dancing with people. They're doing very kind of a hoedown-esque sort of thing where a lot of inner
folk dance.
Yeah, kind of like a lot of interweaving with arm hooking people arm in arm and kind of doing a little daisy chains kind of thing.
Yeah, like
Contra
dancing. Yeah, that's what. Anyways, contra dancing fairly fun, but that's not what we're doing right. Well, that's what she's doing.
It's very fun.
Harash come up to him and just lose her ability to speak. It's just Anya, and like show him the letter. I mean, not really though, because it's like crumpled in her hand. Where like, but it's clear what it is if he had knew about.
And he does look on with genuine kind of sorrow, and goes, I'm sorry. She had asked me not to say anything until you read the letter.
When?
She left sometime this afternoon. As we were all you were all working on helping with the town and those preparations.
I need to go find her. I need to do something, because it's my fault that she got wrapped up into this, and now she's doesn't have anywhere to go, and and then just bursts like into like full on just uncontrollable like tear and like the sobbing that you just can't like speak from. And she's just like standing there, and then she like reaches for like a big hug.
And
it might be weird because we don't have the best relationship. And it's like,
and it's a little bit on the awkward side, but he does kind of awkwardly return the hug and then actually, you know, as you're kind of, as you at least kind of catch your breath and pull back just a little bit, he does offer a little bit of his wine glass because it's all he's really got on hand at the moment. But
Arashti drinks it. There's a little bit of like snot on his nice robes. It was an ugly cry.
And for his part, while he does notice, he is gentlemanly enough not to react to said snot upon his vestments, but and granted, you know, being that he's, you know, Telemon has always been a little bit more reserved in general, but you definitely see concern and whatnot in his eyes. As I was working on the. She approached me after you first departed. You know, I was actually working on. I've got several projects I was working on in regards to protecting her, and I had made a handful of potions to at least temporarily. I guess my goal was to allow her to perhaps leave the ship for a short period of time. So she will have, provided she takes the potions on a daily basis, at least that will give her some protection, you know, give her some protection, at least for until she runs out. I'm still working on the circlet as we had discussed, but I know she was quite these past few days have been frightening for her, at least as much as I can tell.
I feel horrible that she got caught up in this, and it changed everything for her. And then I haven't even really been able to be here because we had to go kill a stupid dragon. I hate dragons. Well, not all dragons, but most of them. How many days does she have until the potions run out?
About 5 days worth.
How long does it take to get to where she was going?
Well, she's heading downriver. I think the fishermen said they could probably drop her off. She might even be there now.
I need to go follow her. It's not fair that this is happening for her, and she's not safe, and it's all just a really, really, really bad, stupid dragons. I know it's not really just the dragons, but I really don't like dragons right now.
With everything that's happened, I'm going to, since my original purpose was to create this item to help protect her, I can still do that. But admittedly, because she's no longer on the ship, I don't. I guess I would also like to make sure Solana is back safely in Sharn. But I will continue to work on the circlet. If you can meet up with her and bring her back to Sharn, provided you're able to do that, I can the circlet hopefully I can get the circlet finished.
Do you know how long it'll take?
I don't. Admittedly, we are only. It's only been It's only been a week, or it's only been a little over a week.
It's a very busy week.
The process started. It has been a chaotic few days, but I'll continue working on it. I was going to mention to the rest of the party, the crew. Sorry, it doesn't say party; it says crew. That Solana and I would be returning back to Sharn, but I will continue working on it.
Do you need anything to get back to Sharn? I have funds.
I do have some abilities to get us back. So that shouldn't be an issue. And admittedly, I will have greater resources having my entire workshop at my disposal as opposed to the portable one I've sort of created on board.
There's anything more that...
Well, and that may help expedite it.
Thank you. I will get word back to you in Sharn then. I need to go. I'll try to find the others and tell them, but I need to go.
He puts his hand on your shoulders, and just doesn't really say much anything else because he doesn't really know what else to say, but just kind of.
Now she'll just kind of take a big breath and turn around and head back to Zaya to start grabbing what she needs.
Okay. So Gavin, I'll say you are sitting there with Nikali and Liddy, kind of just sort of almost like sitting on the edge of the ship a little bit with your feet kind of dangling over a little bit, just kind of watching the people in the party and the celebration, and just kind of being sort of observers. And you do see the longboat kind of come back up, and you see Narashti kind of pilot it back up and dock it.
Does she seem distressed? What am I?
Yes, but like kind of that, like when you've gotten over the like big initial, like you've just cried everything out sort of thing, and now you're just kind of like determined and like focused. So like she doesn't like acknowledge or say hi like she normally would in her like, but is just kind of like focused and going right down to her room. And it's definitely in a very different state than where she was like partying and getting caught up in the whole Barca like fight and all of that. There's been a shift.
Yeah, Gavin's gonna pick himself up off the edge of the ship and just kind of slip away from the conversation with Nikali and Liddy. Ironically, we're the ones that speak giant, so that actually works out.
Right.
And he's gonna go down to Narashti's room and open or close. He's gonna knock on your door.
And
Open the door.
She's packing.
What?
Anya left. She left, and it's my fault, and she's not safe, and if she's not safe, then probably not safe for other people, and I need to go. I need to go, and I need to help her, and I need to find her, and I need to fix all of this and keep everybody and her safe. I need to go.
Without another word, Gavin walks into the room and starts helping her pack.
She tries somewhat successfully not to fall back into just tears and continues to manage it, but there are...
He's just kind of helping as best he can without getting in the way and not really saying anything, just kind of letting her feel her feels, but also show some measure of support.
Sure.
There's honestly not a lot to pack. She doesn't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but he helps her anyway, and after she's done, he kind of...
Well, and realistically, as far as your monetary share, probably just go through and it's here's gems, because they're way lighter for gems to carry gems, and
yeah.
Honestly, since
there you go.
We'll say since I did the math, Gavin did the accounting. So yeah, he basically just goes down and grabs her share in gems, so it's lighter and easier to carry.
And she'll give some back and explaining Anya needed some. She took some, so that's part of mine. So here. She picks one of the shiny gems or two and gives it back because she doesn't quite have.
He kind of laughs and then exchanges it for a slightly lesser gem.
So yeah, however that monetary play wise, just
seeing that neither one of you has any idea what she may have took, it's really kind of a you're doing it more to humor her than anything, Gavin, because you're. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I know, that was 100% my point. After that kind of exchange, he'll kind of stop and look at her and say, "You will always have a place here."
Thank you, Gavin. This has been... If you just can't, you just can't talk because you're trying not to cry. And
he gives her a hug, which is probably, again, he is a hugger, but a little awkward because I don't think they've ever hugged before.
Mm-hmm.
But he does give her a hug. He says, "I will explain to everybody."
I don't want to ruin everyone's night, but
I'll save it until the morning.
I need to go now, though.
Come on, I'll take in the longboat so you don't have to leave it somewhere.
Thank you.
So yeah, Gavin will take her wherever the fuck she wants to go in the longboat.
I'm gonna try to find a fisherman.
And there's still probably some realistically you could even steal a canoe or something.
How about this? Gavin takes you to the waterfront and will procure a conveyance of some variety, whether it's through his inexplicable ability to talk people into doing shit that he wants them to.
Yeah. Narashi would need some sort of guide. That would just... Yeah. Well, actually, no, never mind. She could do this on her own. She just needs a boat. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're...
Yeah, she's fine. She can totally capable of doing that. So
it's mostly just making sure she has a boat and then making sure she's not stealing it and paying off the whoever. Yeah. Even if it's just leaving gold for them so she doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Easy enough to take care of.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Narashi's gonna head down the river to go find Anya.
Okay. So so for the rest of you, the night continues to be kind of a whether it's either a kind of a whirlwind celebration of dancing and drinking and singing, or wrestling or whatever, or even more kind of a somber, well, not somber, but a more conservative celebration and memories and discussions of what has all brought you to this point.
I will say at this point, Gavin probably goes and joins the festivities just because he needs a drink.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think that's a good point for us to take a little break.
Sound good. All right. So those watching, we'll be back in roughly 10-ish minutes.
You made me cry and I wasn't even there.
Sorry.
We'll be back in 10, everybody.
because he was getting salty at Dan when Dan was like, "You're gonna hate it,"
I know.
and he was like, "No, it's fun." Oh my gosh! And I'm like,
I know.
We are
Yeah, I told you.
live, by the by.
"Oh,
Oh,
Welcome back, everybody.
Hi,
so
welcome
shout
back.
out to our good buddy Epic Realms, who you should absolutely go check out on Twitch.
Yeah,
Yes.
watch him fail miserably at Elden Ring. It's apparently
It was kind of fun to watch.
Oh, he did not realize it was a Dark Soulsy game or what a Dark Soulsy game was.
I've never played.
Oh,
I've never played one of
But
the
he
games.
was getting
so
better at it, so who knows? Maybe.
they typically
And that's the
very
thing.
combination heavy. You can't just button mash with a Dark Souls game.
no, they are very button mashing, punishing. You got to know what you're doing. But that's the thing, is you slowly get better at it until you can beat whatever you're fighting, and then you move on to the next thing, and then you suck until you get slowly better and you can defeat the thing. Oh,
So this may be a game that I, attempt to play and then never touch again.
And
Understood.
I needed another crunchy RPG to sink my teeth into, because the last one that I had was Dragon Age Inquisition, and that was 2014 that came out. So fucking move it. So anyway, sorry. Brian, do your thing.
No, it's all good. So, unless anyone has anything else to do, we're going to say that the evening, the festivities definitely go late into the evening.
I mean, realistically, I imagine Gavin would probably, after eliciting a promise from Rhiannon not to yell at him, would probably inform Rhiannon that Narashti has left, and why, that evening.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to lie to her.
Okay, so we'll say at some point, actually, we'll probably say as your parents and Meredith are sort of retiring for the evening, which, if you guys are cool with it, they'll maybe just go on the ship to do.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Yeah.
So I imagine when I went and rejoined the festivities, I deliberately went and found like Rhiannon and the group,
and so they will go and Meredith is able to. I think Meredith has Dimension Door, so is able to pop them up onto the ship.
That's a sound effect.
Well,
She's able to ship them onto the ship. Got it. Okay.
So and with that, so then you are able to get Rhiannon aside for a moment.
Okay, so first of all, you have to promise not to yell at me.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything much. Oh God, where to start with this?
Okay.
I'm getting there. Just give me a sec.
Okay.
Anya left.
Okay.
To protect everybody.
Okay.
With Telemon's help. She
Okay.
made him promise to keep it to himself, so let's not
Right.
get snippy at Telemon. Narashti's blaming herself for putting Anya into this position, and has decided to go after her, and I helped her go. But she didn't want to ruin everybody else's night, but I don't want to lie to you.
Narashti left?
Yes.
Tipsy Rhiannon is more emotional than regular Rhiannon. But when did she go? Where?
From what I was gathering from what Narashti was said, she was going to catch a boat to Adderport. Beyond that, I don't know. Here's the thing: it's not like after she finds Anya. Sorry, Adam forgot the name. Gavin wouldn't have. It's not like after she finds Anya, she can't get a hold of us.
But she didn't say goodbye.
I don't know that she could have.
Okay.
But we gotta try to hold it together because everybody else is also going to be upset. But again, I told you because I didn't want to lie to you, and because that's not a good habit to be in.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm just a little drunk. Okay.
Should
Oh.
we go have a cuddle and then go rejoin the festivities?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't message her when I'm drunk, right?
You
That's
really
probably
shouldn't.
bad.
It's not a good idea.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
Nope. I'm going to, probably not without a heck of a lot of difficulty, wrestle the wand of sending away from her.
That's
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just gonna keep.
Rhiannon's been drinking, so at this point she's pretty tipsy, and it would not be hard to do.
Is this the equivalent of drunk texting?
Yes,
Okay.
she's about to drunk text.
100%, yeah.
Literally like drunk leaving a message, like on an answer
Drunk voicemail. Yeah.
Drunk voicemail. Just frickin'
100.
Directly into somebody's head.
I just want to tell her that I'm gonna miss her.
And that is a thing that you can do in the morning, but right now you are too drunk and you would run out of words. And I'm gonna hang on to it, and we'll deal with it in the morning. She knows how much you're gonna miss her and how much you love her. It's okay. I got this. It's fine. Hey, cupcake.
What a cupcake! I want a rusty.
But a cupcake is delicious.
But it's not an arashti.
Well, you can't eat an arashti.
I don't want to eat an arashti. I don't want a cupcake, but I'll take cuddles instead.
Okay.
And she'll just kind of like... she'll do that thing that Phoenix does and like just nuzzle her face into like Gavin's chest right there and just kind of cry a little bit and snuggle up.
Gavin is very hyper aware of where the wand of sending is at all times while she's doing this.
That's fair.
Rhiannon would probably also do the Phoenix thing of trying to take it when I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, she would.
And then after Rhiannon has composed herself,
Ugh.
for it, we'll go back.
Okay.
And Rhiannon, as a slight rewind, prior to this, when you were having discussions with your folks and with Meredith, obviously a lot of catching up and letting each other know what exactly was going on and kind of telling the story of how your mother's rescue kind of came to pass as far as that goes. Since it's very recent, aka to this morning, do you mention to your mother the fact that you are now an heir of Sybaris as opposed to
oh shit! I forgot about that. Does Rhiannon even know yet? Because doesn't that happen with the fight?
It happened
in the fight with Draxskull?
in the fight, yes.
I don't know that Rhiannon has noticed yet.
No, you do know.
Okay.
Because when it happened and it sort of kind of expanded on your body, like you knew there was something going on there. But Rhiannon is a smart cookie.
Well, that's true.
And quite frankly, during the time that you guys kind of came back to the town and was helping with things, I have no doubt you would have done a little.
What the hell? Okay.
To notice that the tattoo is now covering a good chunk of your body.
Would Rhiannon know what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
The Sybaris mark is a rare mark among dragon marked people, and in general they are usually best way, they're usually very those that have them tend to be very highly valued
Okay.
within their dragon marked houses.
Mhm.
And it's not, and while they're not, it's not unsurprising for someone with a Sybaris mark
Mhm.
to have a much higher level position within the organization as a whole,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
because they're definitely valued for the greater power that they they possess.
Okay. Yeah, Rhiannon would tell Lyria and Meredith. I mean, and obviously Karth is there too, but like,
And you see they both
Yeah.
are kind of, their eyes kind of go wide on that, because that's new.
it's very new. Yeah.
But I mean, when you just show a little or what, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously you're not like full Marnie,
Taking my
but, like,
clothes off, but yeah,
but,
it
like,
comes
when
like up
show
and onto
that
the
the
back of my
tattoo
neck.
is
Yeah.
obviously extended past where it used to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, where your mother's dragon mark is.
I know where it was. I don't know where it's reappeared.
Well, that's the funny thing about dragon marks. Just because you can flay it off the body doesn't mean that they lose the dragon mark.
Right. I just didn't know if it came back in the same spot or not.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because I think I was reading about it, and it was like it could come back
Right,
anywhere on the body.
That's true. It could move. So yeah, actually, we don't know what you don't know where hers is. It's not visible. We'll put it that way.
But Lyria and Meredith would both know where my mark was previously, so just showing them the bit that like extends up on the shoulder and onto the back of my neck would be pretty obvious.
They kind of so they do talk a little bit about. I imagine at some point in time it does come to play what their next steps are.
Yeah.
And they're probably their most immediate thing. Karth has some responsibilities in the town to help kind of rebuild things a little bit, but you get the sense from him, and even he kind of says, I buried my head here, and that was my mistake. And I'm going to try to make amends to both of you. At least as best I can. And I hope at some point maybe you can forgive me. And who knows, maybe I'll forgive myself.
Well, you don't have to worry about forgiveness from me. It's already given. You're my dad, even if you're an idiot sometimes.
Yeah, okay, I had that one.
She kisses him on the cheek.
So, admittedly, your mom is like, well, I think most immediately for right now, we'll kind of maybe stay here to help at least until Karth feels that he can step away, because he's like, I'll help out to get them back on their feet, but after that I want to spend more time with you, and with you see just kind of looks over at your mom. It's like, and then you see looks over at your mom, and then kind of But you notice, because again, you're in. Well, what's your insight?
My passive insight is a 16.
So go ahead, make a insight roll.
I was gonna say, if I roll, I get extra stuff. Uh, 23.
So yeah, and again, he's primarily looking at Lyria,
Mhm.
and kind of holds onto her hand, but you see he does sort of pass a look from Lyria to Meredith and to Lyria again, and you see they're like the three of them are all looking slightly like they're in a cahoots a little bit, for whatever that's worth. Like you don't necessarily know what's going on, but there's obviously something going on there.
That's why she asked him before if he was having a fling with Meredith. She's just keeping an eye on it.
But so they again, when they kind of had their fill, and they probably retired earlier than the rest of you necessarily.
Yeah, and then the Rhiannon and Gavin stuff happens, and then they'll go back to the celebration.
Amaya, as you are kind of finishing up for the evening, there is a point where Zaya and you kind of join the fairly large sort of dancing ensemble. Solana kind of runs out and grabs Zaya by the hand and brings her into the kind of the big dancing, the chain of people dancing and whatnot, and so you just kind of sit there kind of watching a little bit as the just the joy of the joys of youth and dancing and just enjoying life and kind of this all of this you see just kind of, and the responsibilities and cares of the world sort of washing away, at least for a moment. And you see Telemon. You kind of notice Telemon sort of approach, and as sort of the de facto responsible ones, kind of watching over their flock, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
But you see he just kind of stands there and just kind of watches, and you see he's kind of just sitting there. He takes little sips of his wine glass every once in a while, but he's just kind of watching, and you see a little creep of a little bit of a smile on his face as he's just kind of, in a lot of cases, everybody's allowed this moment of respite to just sort of relax and
sure,
and
just
whatnot.
kind of continue to enjoy the moment with him.
And go ahead and make a insight roll, Amaya.
Insight. Okey-dokey. That's a nat 20 for a total of 29.
Okay. You you can kind of read off of him that he is trying to, from what you can guess, kind of building up the courage to say something, but hasn't quite just isn't quite there. And granted, he's he's somewhat sociable. I mean, he's practiced in certain nobility, things, but at the same point, he's not. He was more of an academic, necessarily leaning more on the academic side of the scale than noble. So definitely, usually much more of a dry conversationalist.
Sure. I will mind link him then. Just kind of privately talk. Is there something you needed to tell me?
And a brief moment of surprise, but he kind of, yes, Solana and I will be retiring for the evening soon here, but I wanted to mention to you, as you are the captain of the ship, as it were, a bit more so than some of the others, I would say, in my personal opinion. Tomorrow, Solana and I will be departing back to Sharn.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong. We're still I'm still very committed to the work that I have started to help out Anya. But now that she has left the ship, there's really
sorry,
not...
who has left the ship?
I'm sorry. You can Anya decided to leave the ship for fear of endangering the crew. At least that's what she told me. I gave her some things I was working on to at least help her temporarily be able to keep the quarry spirits at bay. But she left for her fears of endangering the crew and endangering Narashti, which, as I would assume you know, since it is a small ship, they are romantically engaged.
Yes, I
Again, dry conversation.
was aware.
Not really the... However, I know you and your crew have several magics available to reach out to us if you need assistance. I believe it, your friend Narashti, I believe. Well, you may want to check on your friend. Our friend. Sorry. I don't know if Narashti knows yet or not.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, as the captain, I wanted to just inform you, just so you are aware. I know Solana and I have become quite fond of you and the crew, and and know that whenever you're in Sharn, that you have friends there.
We have grown quite fond of you as well. If you need transport to Sharn, or if you ever need anything in the future, please just let us know. We'd be happy to help.
I understand. I have some magics at my disposal for taking care of such things. But
Of course.
But we will definitely stay in touch.
I appreciate that. Best of luck to the two of you and all of your future endeavors.
The best of luck to all of you as well.
And thank you again for all that you've done for us. We won't forget it.
And he kind of since your insight roll is pretty decent, he sort of
Pretty decent.
he then sort of kind of takes your hand and sort of bows, in kind of that, in that very noble fashion, but he does kiss the back of your hand, and then kind of blushes a little bit, and then kind of heads off to gather Solana and then proceed to retire for the evening.
All right. Well, we'll file that information away. And then Amaya is going to start looking for one of the other primary crew members, like Rhiannon or Gavin or Barca or Ember. We'll look for Narashi if she's around and kind of try to find somebody to communicate all this to.
Ember and the Flaming Rabbits are still they're still performing strong. So admittedly, Ember's kind of busy at the moment. Although you kind of get the sense that for Ember and I'm totally blanking on Ember's wife's name right now. Kira? No.
Kira, yeah.
Kira. That while they are performing, they're about like a hair shy of just going at it right on the stage.
I mean, that tracks.
So it's straight up like a normal metal band from the 80s. Got it.
Yeah. And I mean, so I mean, probably the only reason why the band would stop playing is because Tosh and Coop would probably drag the two of them off stage. Less because they're afraid of people watching, because Kira and Ember wouldn't give a fuck at this point. They've been drinking and partying up so long. But just to give them a little privacy. Because this is probably not the first time that something like this has happened, nor would it be the last. But they definitely, their bard troupe has a definite shorthand that they're right back into their normal kind of routine as far as that goes.
Fair enough.
But you do look around and you do see that we're going to say Barca is kind of passed out on a throne of kegs next to a minotaur that is also passed out on a throne made out of kegs.
I love this so much.
With several, each of which has probably a couple of women that are also kind of passed out, sort of hanging off of them. So it's kind of this like, there's just kind of a
but a metal band from the 80s.
But you do You do eventually see Gavin with his kind of arm around Rhiannon, and they're kind of snuggling as they're slowly starting to make their way towards the longbow.
Okay. Amaya will move so that she's within range of the mind link with Rhiannon, which is about 110 feet.
Sure.
And just mentally communicate. Hey, have you seen Narashti? We may want to go check on her.
Gavin and I have already had that conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Rhiannon bursts into tears again.
Maya just kind of like blinks. Mind links Gavin. Gavin, we may need to find Narashti and check on her, and also what's going on with Rhiannon.
Okay. Hey, okay, that explains that. Can we...
Buries her face back at Gavin's shoulder and is just sobbing again. It's fine.
You know I love you, but I'm still not used to this. Can we have an actual, like, face-to-face conversation?
Oh.
Like, he's now scared of looking for you.
Yeah, Amaya's gonna start heading over, tell him like, hey, come this way. And it's kind of trying to keep Zaya in sight.
So when after Telemon kissed your hand and he kind of went off to grab Solana to kind of retire for the evening, and so you see Zaya is kind of going back with them to as far as that goes, and they are also they're heading to the longbow.
Gotcha.
Well, you do keep an eye on her, but you know she's in safe company right now.
Okay. Still kind of vaguely keep an eye on her, but
well, sure.
Worried then.
You're her mom.
Yeah. I'll head over to Gavin. Is there something I'm missing here?
Yeah, I don't want to bury the lead, but I also kind of promised not to share anything until tomorrow. Why do you ask? Fuck it. Narashti left.
She's gone!
Narashti left as well?
Without saying goodbye!
Anya left because she was concerned that she was putting everybody in danger. And Narashti, feeling responsible, feeling upset, opted to go after her. And,
which is really kind of romantic, but she left!
She made me promise not to tell anybody, but I also have this thing where I don't really like lying to my partner, so I told Rhiannon, and Rhiannon's a little upset. And drunk. And upset.
You won't let me talk to her.
I feel like drunkenly talking to her is probably not going to help her focus too much.
Well, one of us should say something to her. I mean, we could help.
If you tell me what to say, I'll just say what you tell me to, I promise.
Maya just kind of looks back over at Gavin.
Niffling, like, snotty nose. Yeah.
You see him, like, he pulls out the wand of sending. It's not that I don't want to help, but she seemed pretty determined to do this on her own, and I wish to respect her wishes, so just keep that in mind, and he hands Rhiannon the wand.
Amaya, what do you want me to say?
Let me think. Not used to dealing with word counts.
Is sending on the warlock list?
25 words or less.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm looking it up. You do your thing.
Although here's the deal: if it's on the wand, you can use the wand.
Yeah, it's a wand, so it's you don't. It doesn't have to be on your list to be able to use it.
Well, he already had his conversation with Narashti, so I think he'd still hand the wand over.
Sure.
Okay.
This is more for closure for Amaya and Rhiannon, not for Gavin. So.
Right.
Sure.
If Amaya is waffling over what to say, like, Rhiannon will patiently wait for about 30 seconds, and then she's just gonna start drunk talking at Narashti.
Okay.
All right,
So-
well, give me 30 seconds to come up with a message here.
Yes.
So, we heard what happened. If you want help, we will help. If you want to do this solo, we support you. You are welcome. God, that was 24 words, wasn't it? You're welcome here always. I think that's 25 words.
That is 25 words. So yeah, Rhiannon will kind of like, okay, and sort of snifflingly send that to Narashti. We heard what happened. If you want help, we'll help. If you want to do this solo, we support you. You're welcome here always. And then we'll send another message.
You, as a response, you get and it just kind of dissolves into this sort of, like, you think there may have been words, but it's all kind of covered in a little bit of the sobbing. So you're not
Perfect.
quite sure.
Does not matter. I fucking love it. So Rhiannon will cast Sending again with the wand and be like, I know, and I love you, and I miss you so much already, and I know you had to go. And, like, just doesn't matter what I say, but, like, crying will also, like, just...
And every
I'm imagining
is, again, more... yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine that Rhiannon is pretty consistently hitting the 25-word limit, and then just waiting for a response, just doing another sending to keep continuing on.
I've got 3 charges.
And
so
here's
we'll
the thing.
Yeah.
After Rhiannon uses all the charges, she may even still keep going a little bit.
Yeah. She probably does. She's drunk.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel free to make an insight roll as far as figure out when Rhiannon is no longer
a 45-minute message.
getting a response in return. But for those that are probably have proficiency in arcane, you know that she's definitely used up the wand at this point.
After all of the charges have been used up, I'm guiding. Hi, Kitty. I'm guiding her back to the ship.
Okay.
And Amaya will leave them to go. We'll stick around a little bit, have a little bit more fun now that she's no longer chaperoning.
Okay. Easily enough done. So, it probably takes a couple of shifts, but realistically, with Nikali there to sort of be sober cab anyway, you're able to retire for the evening for those that are retiring for the evening or morning, as the case may be.
Yeah, Maya will probably make sure that Barker gets into a longboat to get taken back to the ship.
I was wondering if someone was going to make sure what happened to Barker.
Oh, yeah. That's
Maya just
that's probably her
ropes
last
him into
shit
the
mom duty.
longboat.
Yeah, that's Amaya's last shit mom duty is getting Barker back up to the ship. And then
Go
she
ahead
starts
and make
cutting loose a little bit.
we'll call it a strength or athletics roll.
Let's see. I will go with athletics because I actually have proficiency in that. 15.
Okay. It takes a bit of doing, but you do eventually, you are able to sort of eventually get Barca into the longboat. Although,
and Amaya will absolutely get some other like townsfolk to help carry Barca over. Like she's not going to just try to heft him over her shoulder herself.
Well, I imagine. Well, and the thing is as things are kind of petering out, it's kind of even hard to find some people to do that. But by the last turn, you're probably the only one on the longboat heading down, so you kind of land next to where he's at. But there's still this sort of moment where, effectively, because of Barca's really long arms, and you kind of hefting him over, that you sort of get this Barca cloak of sorts with like these long arms, sort of dragging his like Barca scarves, sort of. As you sort of kind of wrestle, drag him into the boat to eventually get him back up.
Like to think
with a 15, you're able to wrangle him into the longboat.
I like to think you did it like lifting it like a mom trying to lift an adolescent kid that's just too big, and like you just drop him on his head after he got like 6 concussions, just adding on, just poof.
Yeah.
And then once everybody else is back up on the ship and none of the crew besides Amaya is still on the floor, she is going to party like a true sailor, and nobody will ever know.
Okay.
That is some Captain Holt energy right there, and I'm here for it.
I dig it. Well, and tell you what, that actually seems like a fairly good. So the rest of the evening / morning goes by relatively uneventfully. The town itself has a fairly solid hangover.
The whole town collectively.
Pretty much. Let's just say the ale stores of the town have been severely depleted. Amaya, since you're celebrating like a sailor, how drunk are you at the end?
It probably depends a little bit on how much the rest, like how many other townsfolk and people are still partying. I imagine that the Flaming Rabbits are either still going at it or going at it. One of the two. But if people are still, cheering and carousing and having a good time, she probably gets pretty drunk. If most people are already drunk and passed out by that point, then it's probably like a couple glasses.
Tell you what, roll me, pick a number on a 6-sider.
4.
Okay, I'm gonna say 3 or 4. I rolled a 2, so who would you not want to wake up next to?
Oh no.
Because I am evil.
I love that the Amaya image just blinked several times and like.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that she probably wouldn't have actually slept with anybody once she got that drunk, but the Minotaur?
Okay. So you wake up, head kind of reeling, sunlight kind of blaring down on you, And the first thing that actually kind of gets you, before you even kind of try to, your eyes kind of crack open to the brilliant stabbing pain of light, but you feel this little sort of slight drop or drip of water or something that kind of seems to be hitting your forehead. That it is what first starts to bring your consciousness back to the front to recognizing how hungover you are. But as you open your eyes and get past the stabbing rays of sunlight that are searing daggers into your brain and are able to sort of focus, you realize what's been tapping you on the forehead is just this little bit of drool from the Minotaur, who is still very passed out. But his mouth is kind of open and kind of like still sleeping in the chair, but kind of almost leaning over you, but still asleep or passed out. And it's just a little bit of drool, just blah, blah. And you see you are kind of spread eagle, laying in the Minotaur's lap, kind of spread. Like your legs are over one arm of the throne, and your head's kind of lolling back over the other, and your arms kind of overthrown, and you're just like. Just realize that you're.
I'm going to headcanon that during the course of the night, she ended up getting a lot less dressed because it was just warm from all the alcohol. And then when the time came to pass out, she drunkenly went, "Oh, hey, a warm Minotaur. I'll just sleep on the warmth." And climbed up onto the Minotaur on the keg throne.
That works. And funny enough, you've got a little cottonmouth going, but you also have a weird little bit of a taste of best way I could describe it as leather, and then you realize that you may have made out a little bit with the Minotaur too before passing out. Now, whether the Minotaur was conscious at the time, you're not 100% certain. Hell, you're not even 100% certain you were fully conscious at the time, because you only have sort of a vague, very vague memory. So there's maybe a little bit of that too. But yeah, you wake up and the Minotaur is still extremely passed out. And admittedly, most of the town is too. At one point, you do hear a rooster kind of crow, and then somebody throws a boot at it from out of nowhere.
Maya will kind of pick herself up, get that kind of calm monk state of mind going, push the hangover to the back of her mind, find whatever clothes she removed during the night, and then head back up to the ship.
And that's fair. And most of the clothes are pretty easy to find. They're scattered. They seem to be scattered relatively close to where the throne is. I will say there's probably one garment that takes a little bit of effort to get off of the horn of the Minotaur, but you're able to, ultimately, because you are dexterous, are able to do that without too much challenge.
Oh, yeah. And then once Maya's back on the ship, she acts like nothing weird happened.
Okay.
Rhiannon
She's
is
been there
very
the whole
hungover
time.
on the deck of the ship now.
That's fair. So I'll say, for those of you that were partying, you're probably still sleeping things off, more or less. I would say probably like Gavin and maybe Nikali. Maybe Gavin, probably Nikali. Amaya, as you kind of come back up, you see Nikali just kind of nod at you. Doesn't really say anything. Doesn't really say anything, but he does have his mask, his little mask that helps him from the sunlight. He kind of sees you, nods, and then just kind of pulls it down to kind of cover his expression a little bit.
Gavin had maybe 3 drinks, so he is fine. He's fully in the galley right now, just making a huge ass breakfast for everybody.
Yeah, you didn't seem like you were necessarily.
No, like he had a couple of drinks for sure, but like not even close to getting drunk.
Right.
Maya will head to the kitchen, make up a hangover cure from her old sailing days,
He just straight up
and
hands
then
you
help with making some
Malvolio's morning
breakfast.
bonnet.
She probably takes it, makes some adjustments to it, and then drinks it.
Fair enough.
Because up until right before the start of all of this Zaya stuff, which chronologically wasn't a whole hell of a long time before all of this,
4 months.
Yeah, we
that was
looked
kind
at
of
it-
like her night in port.
About 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And sure enough, you actually. So actually, Gavin and Amaya, you do see. You do see Telemon and Solana starting to make their way to the upper decks. Solana is definitely looking. She's kind of fighting back tears a bit, and you do see, and as you're kind of watching this, you do see Zaya actually kind of form, go into her kind of dryad form in front of Solana, and the two kind of just give each other a big hug, and there's some tears.
I'm gonna pull Telemon aside as that happens and just kind of lean in and say, hey, just for the record, if you don't say goodbye to Rhiannon, I'm going to let her drunk send you. And he just kind of pats him on the shoulder and goes, that's what he's doing.
And he just kind of nods, like, "Okay, we'll need to take a little bit more time before we leave, then, to make sure that everybody's up and up." So yeah.
He needs that.
That's fair.
And that's all, yeah. It wouldn't have even been drunk sending, it would have been hungover sending, and that's probably worse.
Categorically worse, yeah.
Fair enough. Eventually, those that passed out do wake up, but you're probably well into mid-morning, if maybe almost reaching noontime by the time that happens.
Just a row of hangout cures.
Mm-hmm. Rhiannon will stumble up. And... Oh, my head. Drinks one.
It's pretty unpleasant.
What did he put in that? Oh.
Coffee grounds and bacon grease.
Oh. Nope. It's fine.
I mean, if you want to throw up, that's...
That was canonically what a Malvolio's morning bonnet was. It was dark ale, bacon grease, coffee grounds.
See, you didn't mention the ale. You just mentioned the bacon grease and the coffee ground. Like with the ale,
it's gotta have a vehicle, right? So it's got to be the dark ale.
Right.
So like we're talking like a stout, like a Guinness style.
Damn it! Now I kind of want to have a Guinness.
Yeah, you definitely see Rhiannon try to keep it down. It's fine.
It's fair.
At this moment, you see Barca stumble in, doesn't even do any eye contact, can't like puffy-eyed, like that saunter walk where like you're not trying to walk in a straight line, but it's like little left, little right, with like kind of like with a shirt, no pants, just straight up,
Donald
no
Duck in it.
pants. Donald Duck in it goes and grabs like a keg of water and just pops into it and just starts like overly chugging it, and it's like coming down him at the same time, like that kind of like drop the NP keg.
Which is probably not a bad thing, because there may be some puke and stuff in your fur a little bit. Not necessarily yours, but, you know.
Walks right back out of the galley.
Okay.
Okay. That all happened last night, right?
Yep.
That sucked. Okay. It's fine. It's a new day. It's gonna be great. It's fine.
The chaos demon in me wants to be a jerk, but I don't think Gavin would be in this moment, so...
Oh, I was poking the chaos demon.
I think Gavin... I'm not going to do it the way I originally thought about it, but Gavin would be like, yeah, Telemon and his sister are leaving. He's
For real?
Yeah, he's still going to work on Anya's thing, but they don't really have a reason to be here now that Anya's gone. I made him stay and wait to say goodbye, though.
That was smart. I would have sent him so many messages.
Oh, I know.
Anybody else leaving us?
You're stuck with me.
Big old dopey grin, and she kisses you. And then she'll go find Telemon and Solana.
Okay. And they make sure to kind of say their goodbyes. First, Solana's a bit tearful.
I totally hugged Telemon, as awkward as I'm sure he is about it.
And it's, yeah, he's... I mean, he does...
Kind of the one-handed, like...
No, he does give a hug, a solid hug back, but he's got a little bit of that British stiff upper lip kind of thing too, so it's kind of, it's not that he's unemotional, it's just kind of that dry, a little bit of the drier side conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, know that, should you need us, we'll all you need to do is communicate. We have, and you see he kind of holds up the little token of Zaya.
Yeah.
We'll be able to help if we need, and we'll continue our endeavors. I believe, well, in the conversation with Narashti, I informed her I'll continue working with what I can to get that project taken care of. Admittedly, back at my workshop, I'll have more resources available, which may expedite the process a little bit quicker.
She definitely looks sadder at the mention of Narashti. Well, if the offer goes the other way, if you need us, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your help. You and your sister are wonderful people.
Stay away from elder brains.
Stay away from elder brains.
And he kind of laughs that off with a little bit of a chuckle, but there's this slight little brief panic in his eyes as he's like, yes.
I'm not saying we won't go in again. I'm just saying we'll do it real reluctant like.
Okay, I never want to see you again. No, it's yeah. And so with that, they kind of on the deck of the ship, they kind of hold hands, and he casts a spell, and they disappear.
As they do,
Everybody's
Gavin,
leaving.
Gavin looks at Rhiannon. Apparently, I make inappropriate jokes at difficult emotional things. That can't possibly be a bad thing, though.
I mean, everybody deals with it differently. You make inappropriate jokes, and I cry. It's fine. What
And
care
it's
we make?
about at this point where you see the long ship float up with Ember and Kira, and actually Tosh and Coop. Actually, you see Coop is very nervously trying to steer the vessel, while Tosh is kind of standing 1 foot on the bow, like in the very Captain Morgan pose. And it's like off this way, and then you see Ember and Kira are making out furiously. But as the boat kind of docks in, you see Kira basically go, "Good morning, bitches."
Was loud. Hi.
And you see Ember's like, "Hey guys."
Hey.
What's going on? And that's where we'll leave it, I think, because since Ember's not here to be with us today, and this seems like a good spot to do that. And then that way we can start fresh when she's back, I think. I forget what the schedule is, but hopefully that she can respond to whatever it is you have to say.
Yep.
So thank you all
right.
for
We'll be
watching.
back with that.
And we will see you when we see you, I guess. I
Well,
don't know.
based on when this drops, it'll be in 2 weeks, whenever the hell that is. So,
There you go.
all right, thanks
All right.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.